After a heartbreaking loss on Monday, that's what happens when I miss a show. Sorry about that, everydayers. The Angels came out swinging on Tuesday and win against the Yanks. Detmers comes out dealing. The Halos even up the series in New York.
You are Locked On Angels, your daily Los Angeles Angels podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thanks for being here for this episode of Locked On Angels, where it's your team every day. You've got the Frisch brothers here with you, a.k.a. the Super Halo Bros. My name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
On today's show, what's the latest on Ben Joyce and Kirby Yates, and can they pitch today? No, they can't, but we need them back ASAP. Kurt Suzuki addressed his bullpen management and the long layoffs between outings for guys like Jordan Romano and Drew Pomeranz. But first, let's talk about Game 2 against the Yankees. The Angels came out swinging in a huge way, didn't they, Mike?
Yeah, let's go to our first takeaway, which is the most obvious takeaway from last night. How about back-to-back home runs in the first inning? Mike Trout hits a home run, Joe Adell hits a home run, and Jorge Soler hits a home run, and they go back-to-back to start the game, all off of Yankee starter Ryan Weathers, who is a lefty. Johnny, he hadn't given up a home run in 2 starts this year, and the Yanks had given up just 4 home runs as they entered this series, and the Angels have been crushing the ball. By the way, Joe Adell's home run, 445 feet, crushed that ball. It wasn't a jet stream home run. It wasn't a Trent Grisham, I checked my swing and got a home run to right field. It was a manly home run from Joe Adell.
You listened to yesterday's show, didn't you? You heard my comments on that. Mike,
did.
How about my guy Joe Adell hitting 445 feet bombs and then also like hitting like 300? Right?
Yes.
Like, this is awesome.
Yeah. I'll take it, man. I love his approach. They even addressed that on the TV side, on the broadcast side, and that he is really using the whole field. And this is something that the Angels have been working on with Joe Adell for years and years. And you and I've talked about that for the last few years on Locked On Angels. If Joe Adell can use the whole field, then Joe Adell is going to be a dangerous hitter. And he's already showing some of that with the home runs, but also he's hitting singles, he's hitting doubles. John, I really like him. I know it was a lefty, but I really like him in the third hole because it just feels like he fits there. Now, I know he probably is more prone to being a 4 or 5 guy in the lineup, but having him at number 3 behind Mike Trout, I'm not against it. Kind of like it. I get having Shawnoel there, having a left-handed bat, all of that. However, I really like Joe Adell in that spot.
It's protection for Mike Trout. Isn't that what you want at the end of the day? Because you know Joe Adell's going to hurt you more than Nolan Shawnoel is going to hurt you. And now I know Shawnoel can hit for the base hit, but Joe Adell can take you deep, 445 feet, just like that. Mike, I have one issue with the back-to-back home runs.
Mm-hmm.
There's nobody on base. Where are the base runners? No, I'm just kidding. I think somebody in our everyday or group chat thought I was being serious. Like, no, of course not. Yeah. There's nobody on base for back.
They were like, I'm out of this group chat.
Yeah,
John, what I do like about Adell versus Shawnoel there, and again, I know it's right, left, and I know they're trying to balance out the lineup, but Joe Adell isn't as prone to hit into a double play as Nolan Shawnoel is because he's a lot quicker running to first base. So I really like him there. They hit those 3 home runs, and then how about Oswald Peraza? Like
him too.
He crushed the pitch and hit a solo home run in the 4th inning. And we're going to talk about him in a second. But the Angels had a nice 4-0 lead by the 4th inning.
Yeah, and takeaway number 2 is that it wasn't just home runs either, Mike. The Angels were able to add on in the 6th inning with Jorge Soler taking a walk, Von Grissom singling. He had a good night as well.
He did. Really nice at bats all night long.
Logan O'Hoppe walked, the bases loaded. Moncada, who has woken up from the early season lull, hits a 2-run single, made some plays over there at third base. So apparently he cares this week.
True.
Peraza singles to left. Teodosio, Neto, and Trout get the next 3 outs, but they added on to make it 6-0. Let me talk about our third takeaway, the Oswald Peraza revenge tour. I texted Brian McKeon of Locked On Yankees. I was like, are Yankee fans and your listeners and everydayers going to lose their minds that Peraza is having a good game? He said, oh, absolutely. They're going to hate it.
Yeah.
They're going to be so mad that Peraza is with the Angels and then doing this to the Yankees. it's only natural for him to have a good game in his first start against the Yankees this year. And here's what stands out to me, Mike. The first at bat, a 110 mile an hour single off the bat, a 107.4 mile an hour home run off the bat, and then off the bat, 105 mile an hour single. That's more in line with the kind of contact and hard hit rate that he was having out of spring training. Lots of hard hit baseballs, good contact. And so far before this game, his average exit velo this year has been 86.4. And so for him to do what he did last night, also took a walk in his last at bat, by the way, on base 4 times in this game. For him to hit the ball that hard, it's going to lead to more singles.
Yeah.
It's going to lead to more home runs. I liked where he was in the order, not in front of Zach Neto. He's in a spot where he can do stuff like this and make it count, where Teodosia was 9th, right? And so for Oswald Peraza to do what he did kind of is what I was hoping he could be coming into the season. I want to say one more thing too. What I liked about this game was the fact that when Zach Neto is wearing, did he have a sombrero or a hat trick? He struck out a lot. I'll say that.
Yeah.
You have guys like Peraza step up in that situation. So not everybody's going to have a perfect game 1 through 9. Obviously, Neto was struggling up there, just not seeing the pitch as well at all. But the rest of the team had their moments and their hits, and Oswald Peraza was part of that. So I like seeing the guys step up in the situation and, compensate for the guys who are not having a good night, because not everybody's going to have a great night from game to game. How about, I'll let you talk about takeaway number 4. Let's hear about your guy, Reid Detmers.
Yeah, John, he has been somebody that we've really questioned, and is he going to be the guy that he has all the potential to be? And he's had a couple of great starts, and then he had a really bad start. And last night, man, really, really good, like super impressive good, like got into the 8th inning and threw to a couple of batters good. 7 innings, 4 hits, 9 Ks, gave up an earned run. That was an inherited runner that Silseth gave up. It was just on a sacrifice fly. By the way, Silseth came in and really locked it down. So good job on him. John, the big thing was 0 walks.
Yeah.
He didn't walk anybody. In fact, They didn't walk anybody in this game. More on that in just a moment. But through 99 pitches, and that was the first run, the run that Reid Detmers gave up after he left the game, the inherited runner. It was the first one he's given up against the Yankees in his career. So he's been really good against them. 17 whiffs in this game, a 33% whiff percentage, 4 whiffs on 4 swings on the curveball, 5 on the slider, a 50% whiff rate on changeups, 5 whiffs on 10 swings. John, this is what is key to Reid Detmers. 64% first pitch strike percentage. That is what really helps him when he's throwing strike one and not ball one. It's a different story for him. 57% of his pitches in the zone, 70 for strikes, 70% of his pitches for strikes, 4 first pitch outs. This is how you get into the 8th inning. This is how you go long in games. And they needed this because of what happened in the game before. And it was back and forth and a lot of bullpen guys, and they're worried about if they're going to have this bullpen game. It might be Sam Aldeguerri. We're still kind of up in the air about that. A lot of conversation about that. John, this is exactly what they needed from Reid Detmers in this game to help settle the bullpen, but also help settle the pitching staff. Good on Reid Detmers. I thought he looked excellent last night.
Thanks for the bunt, Ryan McMahon. Just trying to make anything happen and get on base. Another 1 pitch out, which was fantastic. Mike, the 5th takeaway is about the bullpen usage. And I gave Kurt Suzuki a ton of grief on yesterday's show, and we'll talk about that in segment 2. But here's what I liked. Chase Silseth came in, like you mentioned. He relieved Detmers. He got 2 flyouts. One of those was the sac fly that Detmers had put a runner on third base. And then he got a strikeout, big strikeout to Jazz Chisholm. Zeferjahn comes in the 9th inning. Judge led off with a double, and that was kind of the only thing Judge was able to do all night. When you get Aaron Judge, which the Angels have done pretty well against Judge over the last couple of years, when you can keep him off the bases, then you're having a good game. He got a ground out from Rosario and then a strikeout to Giancarlo Stanton. Here's what I liked about the bullpen usage. Chase Silseth, as we all know, struggled in that game against the Reds. So he gets a good bounce back opportunity against the 8, 9, and 1 hitters. Of course, Jazz came in for Goldschmidt at the top of the order because it was a lefty righty matchup. So I like that Chase had a good bounce back in this chance, and Kurt Suzuki gave him the opportunity to bounce back against the bottom of the order. Second, I know it was a 7-0 lead when Zeferjahn came in. 7-1 lead when Zeferjahn came in, but he's going against the heart of the order. Mm-hmm. He's facing Aaron Judge to start the inning, and then he gets the remaining 3 outs. And so for me, I was like, yeah, use a high leverage guy there because the Yankees have every ability to come back in this one. Yeah, Mike, you mentioned it before. No walks to the Yankees, and the Yankees are the team with the second most walks in the league, behind the Angels, who had 86 now. They had 80 coming in, and they got 86 now. The walk percentage is not quite as high, but in total, the counting stats, 86 walks from the Angels. So just really good stuff all around. A great comeback from the day before where it was a disappointing ending to that game. Thanks for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Coming up, Kurt Suzuki had some thoughts on his bullpen usage after I threw a fit on yesterday's show and had some thoughts about that. So we're going to hear what he has to say. Mike and I are going to share our responses. We'll get into that coming right up.
Keeping track of subscriptions and spending and bills can be overwhelming for us, and that's where Rocket Money is here to help you. They're going to help you take control of your finances, and it's all going to be in one place. Rocket Money helps you to track all of your subscriptions in one spot and can help you cancel the ones that you don't need in just a few taps. It automatically categorizes your spending so that you can actually see where your money is going. That's the major problem with money these days. We just don't know where it's going, and we're all scared to look. Well, Rocket Money is going to help you not just know where it's going, but they're going to help you set a budget. They're going to give you alerts. They're going to help you stay on top of all upcoming bills. It just makes everything feel more organized and gives you a clearer picture of your finances each and every day. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps find and cancel unwanted subscriptions. It monitors your spending, and it helps lower your bills so that you can grow your savings. And who doesn't want that, right? All of our everydayers want that. Let Rocket Money help you to reach your financial goals a whole lot faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon.
This is the Locked On Podcast Network, the #1 sports podcast network because of everydayers just like yourself. And right now, if you want to join the Everydayer Club, take it up a notch, get more Locked On Angels, more interaction with the show. Join the Everydayer Club for free right now with the promo code FINALLY. If you go to lockedonangels.supercast.com, use the promo code FINALLY, you'll get a free month of the Everydayer Club. You can go member level or all access, tons of benefits, including ad-free versions of the show on your favorite podcast feed, members-only Discord access, so much more. So head on over to lockedonangels.supercast.com. Use the promo code FINALLY to join the club.
Kurt Suzuki was asked about his bullpen usage before last night's game, something that Johnny talked about on our show yesterday. Mm-hmm. With Drew Pomeranz and Jordan Romano having 6+ days in between their outings, Suzuki was asked if he was to look to maybe keep them from having extended breaks in between each of their outings moving forward. And Kurt said, yes and no. He said, if that makes any sense. Well, Kurt, it doesn't. So you need to explain. So he said, obviously, we'd like to not overuse them, but we'd like to not have them have such a long layoff where they're kind of rusty. Suzuki did mention that it can go sideways if a pitcher mops up to stay fresh and then is unavailable for a later game, which we know and we believe and we've seen. We saw that with Kenley Jansen last year in some of those games that weren't save situations, really struggled. Now, regarding Romano and Pomeranz, he said, we want to take care of these guys. We want to make sure that we have them for the whole year. instead of worrying about the first month. I'm not saying that these games don't matter. Everything matters, but understanding where they are in their careers, their age, stuff like that. You try to do your best to take care of these guys. Now, does that help, Jon, with your conversation that you had, your frustration that you had with Kurt Suzuki's bullpen usage and how you talked about it in yesterday's show?
Look, I think it's a missed opportunity to not have Jordan Romano or Drew Pomeranz come in at least once during like the Cincinnati series, right? Or at least during the Brave series before that. And I think what my issue is here is that you're going to have situations like this where these guys sit too long. And for him to, say, well, we want to take care of these guys, I totally understand that. But you see the results of these guys sitting on the bench for as long as they did. Look, Pomeranz got through the inning, but he also surrendered a 3-run home run, right? And so that's the thing is, does that happen if he's a little bit more ready to go? I don't know. But the truth is he still got through the inning. The other thing I didn't like, Mike, was something that Kurt Suzuki did earlier in the season where he had Pomeranz get Pete Crow Armstrong out in that Cubs series and then let Romano finish the inning.
Yeah.
That to me is strategic. And so part of this is I understand the balance of like trying to keep these guys healthy, trying to keep them, safe and secure or whatever, but also don't let that influence your strategy and your strategic decisions. The other part of it is we've seen this with Kenley Jansen, like you mentioned. He sat for 7 days, gave up 6 earned runs to the Tigers, and everyone piled on him. They wanted to get rid of him. DFA him, get rid of him. Now everybody wants him back, right? And now he just moved into 3rd place, I think, all-time saves record. And so, yeah, we're missing out on that. But the truth is that with Pomeranz and Romano, I just think this situation could have been handled better. I think you got to win the game in front of you. Yeah. I'm still convinced that Kurt was playing this game of, well, what am I going to do on Thursday or on Wednesday when we have a bullpen game? I think that was on the back of his mind. What about you?
Yeah, I have a couple of thoughts about this. First, you know me, and you know that I'm a big proponent of win the game. Go win the game. And then we'll figure it out what we need to do tomorrow. And that's where you have to rely on your front office. You have to rely on them to make a move. You have to rely on them to get you a fresh arm. And you have the ability. You have the flexibility to do that. They sent Mitch Ferris down. They brought up Sam Altaguiri. They got a fresh arm just in case. That is all good. You have to trust that. But win the game in front of you, especially a game like this, where on Monday, man, they, were down and then they came back and then they had Mike Trout save the day twice for them. Yeah. You have to ride that into the sunset. You have to make sure that happens. The other thought that I had, Jon, was in situations like he had on Monday, I just think that they have to go back to what they said in spring training, that we're not really sure who the closer is going to be. So we're going to use a closer by committee. They didn't necessarily use that language, but that's what they hinted at. And I know Kirby Yates is hurt and Ben Joyce is hurt. They're not in the back end of this bullpen. So it has been Romano that has come in. But I don't think that you have to get stuck to Jordan Romano and have to use him in those situations. I think they could have gone with a Pomeranz and have him face those 2 lefties. Or maybe have a Brent Suter come in and have him face those.
Ryan Zeferjahn went in high leverage last night. He could have been used 2 nights ago. Yeah.
Yes. So there's a philosophy there that I think got in the way because he was thinking about future games. There's a philosophy there that got in the way because he was treating this as if Jordan Romano is Kenley Jansen or Troy Percival or Frankie Rodriguez, when in reality, that's just not the case. The other thing that I would say is let's just pump the brakes on getting really upset about Jordan Romano blowing that game on Monday.
Oh yeah. And
then wanting Kenley Jansen back. Jordan Romano hadn't given up anything up until that point. Right. And so there's a major tension that I feel, a major issue that I feel with people going, oh, I can't believe this guy. And we need Kenley Jansen back. I mean, the dude has been lights out for the small amount of time that he has been in there, and he's really held it down. So yeah, he's going to have these types of games. The fear is that he's going to become the Jordan Romano with the Phillies, that he's just not going to be able to do it again, right? But that's just one start. I think what Kurt is learning is that he has to be really intentional with getting these guys in a game. Like last night's game would have been a perfect example. If they didn't pitch the night before, that would have been a perfect game to bring them in because it was a 7-1 game. tensions were kind of high. I think because if you haven't used them in a couple of days, you bring them in. I get you're like, well, what about tomorrow? But I think you have to, especially with this Angels team, you have to focus on let's win right now, because what this team is doing that previous teams haven't done is, and I know we're fighting with 500. And if you've been an Angel fan for a long time, there was a few years where it was like, we just can't get over 500. This is so frustrating. Yeah. But this team, their ceiling is 500, we believe. So if they do anything better than 500, thanks be to God, right? Like, because there's something happening in Anaheim. But I think what we're seeing with this team right now, at least in the first few games, is that they're falling under 500, but they're not falling deep under 500. They're getting back to the 500 mark. They won last night. They're at 9-9. They have a chance to go over 500 against the Yankees today. I think that that's why you have to focus on this game by game. Do these games matter in the grand scheme? Yes, they matter. And I know Kurt said that he didn't say that they didn't matter, but John, these games matter because this shapes what it looks like for your team in June and August and September, right? Like, these games matter. If you can get yourself to a place where it's manageable, where you're at the All-Star break and you're 500 or better because you won some early games and you were consistent in those games, that's fantastic. I get they're old guys. I get they're long in their career, and I get they're coming off of injuries. Not Pomeranz had a great year last year, by the way. Yeah. But I get what he's trying to do in managing these guys. But I also look at it as like, listen, you got to win the game that's in front of you, and then you got to trust the front office to backfill any sort of holes that you're creating because you're winning the game in front of you. And honestly, as a fan, if we win the game in front of us and then the next game is like, well, we got to run with Sean Anderson for 3 or 4 innings because we used up these guys in the previous game. There's a part of me that has a bit of sympathy for that. Like, there's a part of me that goes, man, at least we won that game. And I know now we're in a situation where we need someone to step up. And those are moments where the Sean Andersons, who are mid relievers, like not fantastic, but not super bad. Those are the moments where in the past, like Sean Anderson against the Dodgers, he really stepped up. So I think that these are opportunities that you want to lay before your players, like Ron Washington would do. And instead of just saying, we're gonna let him go get that, we're gonna see what he can do. This is an opportunity to not just use words, but use an opportunity to go, man, show me that you can keep us in this game so that we don't have to drain the bullpen and we don't have to hurt our pitching staff. Those are my thoughts. That's where I land on a lot of this conversation.
Kurt Suzuki said when he first got hired that he's going to make mistakes, but he's not going to make the same mistake twice. So I'm interested to see how he handles this bullpen and how he handles managing them and getting guys in for an inning. Mike, I mentioned it the other day. Like, look, Reid Detmers came out of the 8th inning, had 2 on. Now, let's say, for example, he had 2 outs in that inning and he's at 100 pitches. He's just done, right? You need to get a guy some work in, bring in Pomeranz for the last out, right? There are ways to go about this. There are ways to get guys work in without exhausting them. You already had a lefty out there in Detmers, which held the Yankees lineup down. You could have brought in, I'm saying hypothetically, Pomeranz obviously used up. Yeah. But for him to come in and finish the inning for somebody, that's a little bit of work. That's a little bit of something. I think that a lot of this stuff gets sorted out once we get some of the arms back for the bullpen that we're expecting. Look, there's some guys that they can turn to in the minor leagues as well. Jose Fermin is an arm that they can bring up and down because he has options. Obviously, they've brought up Sam Aldeguerri to maybe start, maybe be a bulk inning guy, whatever that looks like. Maybe Suter gets the start and Aldeguerri picks him up. Aldeguerri is good in short bursts, not as a 5-inning guy, at least at the major league level right now. He's also not pitching very great in AAA. Yeah. Having said that, you had options. And you're right. I think winning the game in front of you is the most important thing. I don't like thinking about a game that you haven't even played yet. And I felt like that was the biggest issue from the game on Monday night.
When the pressure's on and you need to make the right hire, This is an opportunity for you to connect with sponsored jobs. Indeed, sponsored jobs helps you to reach the people who actually fit what you're looking for. So you're not just hoping that the right candidate like stumbles across your post or falls into your lap. Like, this is going to be really helpful for you to find the one that you can hire. You're not just searching. You have somebody that has a lot of potential that's going to help your organization. And here's a stat that says it all. In the last minute that I've been talking to you, companies like yours have made 27 hires on Indeed, according to Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching, more time interviewing, and get the candidates that check all your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. Listeners to our show, Locked On Angels, will get a $75 sponsored job credit to help get your job the premium status it deserves at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now. Support our show. Let them know that you heard it on Locked On Angels. Indeed.com/podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Looking to hire? This is a job for Indeed sponsored jobs.
Jeff Fletcher of the OC Register wrote about some key bullpen updates on Ben Joyce and Kirby Yates. Ben Joyce faced some hitters in Arizona. It's the first time he's done that since his shoulder surgery last year. Fletcher noted that generally pitchers do that 1 or 2 times before pitching in minor league games. It's unclear how many minor league games the Angels want to see from Joyce before they activate him. Kurt Suzuki said, "I assume he feels good if we didn't hear anything. I don't want to know how hard he's throwing because I'd be like, bring him here, please." Regarding Kirby Yates, he was set to throw another bullpen session at Rancho Cucamonga for the Quakes before getting into a game. Yates is on the injured list because he has left knee inflammation. Kurt Suzuki said, "I think he wanted one more kind of touch-up before he gets out there. It's more of a state of mind thing to make sure he's fully ready before he gets out there. When he does get out there, he's not going to be that far off." So that's encouraging. Mike, the potential bullpen, once Yates comes back, kind of feels pretty good. And this is even without Joyce, which would make me feel a whole lot better. But
yeah,
give us a little list here of the potential bullpen that we could soon have with the Angels.
Yeah, Jordan Romano, Kirby Yates, Drew Pomeranz, Chase Silseth, Sam Bachman, Ryan Zeferjahn, Brent Suter, and Sandelin. And he would probably be somebody that might be expendable once Ben Joyce comes back, but that's still up in the air. John, I like the idea of Kirby Yates coming back and being a back of the bullpen type of guy. He probably won't be the closer right away because Romano has been good, but Kirby Yates is going to be in those maybe Chase Silseth moments, or maybe they use him before they go to Chase Silseth. Chase has been the guy that has come in a really difficult spot and for the most part has come through. When he's come in like a clean inning, he's had some struggles. And so I think maybe he just needs the intensity, right? And he's been better. He hasn't been fantastic, but he's been better. I think pairing him with a Kirby Yates in those moments is going to be a benefit to this bullpen. And then you can use Pomeranz, who has kind of been used as a setup guy. You can use him maybe in a very defined role instead of having him kind of bounce around, and then having Suter as a lefty and Zeferjahn as a righty as your mix and match, get me through maybe an inning or two so that we can get to some of our stronger arms. The one that I'm really concerned about, John, and I love his stuff, and I've said that before, is Sam Bachman. Sam just struggles with throwing strikes. He gets himself into messes and then has to work around that. And what I loved about what happened last night is they didn't walk anybody. And look at what happens, how fast the game goes, how pitch efficient they really are. Look at what happens when they're hitting the zone. There's a lot of 3-2 counts because you have the Yanks who take a lot of pitches, foul off a lot of pitches. But look what happens. You're not putting yourself in really bad situations, and then you're having to find a way to get out of it.
You see what happens? You see what happens when you don't walk anybody? There's a reference for you.
Yes.
Mike, I think this is the best version of the pen so far this year once Kirby Yates comes back. And to your point about Bachman, he's got options.
Yeah.
And so they could use an option year to move him up and down as needed. I would not be surprised to see that. You've got hard throwers in this bullpen between Zeferjahn and Silseth and Bachman. So if you have somebody who can go up and down, it's going to be Bachman in that situation. And then Ben Joyce comes back eventually, obviously a hard thrower. He's been better about not throwing outside the strike zone and not giving up a bunch of walks, but you've got to make sure he's ready to go by the time he gets back. And so you wonder, how's that command going to be? It's been a long time since he's thrown. And so that's something you got to take into consideration. But that list you read off, again, Romano, Yates, Pomeranz, Silseth, Bachman, Zeferjahn, Suter, Sandlin, that's the best version of what they've got going so far this year. And it's not that bad. I know that there's been issues. I know that there's been, blow-ups, and, Romano had the issue on Monday night. I think that comes down to usage. I think it comes down to managing these guys well, because they all have the skills, right? Silseth came in and struggled, obviously, on Saturday against the Reds. But like you said, maybe I got to look this up now. Is there something to him coming in the middle of an inning versus having a clean inning for Chase Silseth? Maybe, because he looked pretty darn good last night. I know it was the sac fly that came in from third base, but that's an out, right?
That's what you want.
Yeah.
You want that for
a
situation
in a situation where it didn't matter. It was a 7-0 lead at that point. So that run was kind of meaningless, even though Detmers probably didn't think it was that meaningless. But dang it, my only run against the Yankees is something else gave up. But the truth is, he put them on third base. He let them get there. But Mike, I gotta say, I think this version of the pen is the best that they could have so far this year. Do you think?
Yeah, and here's what is going to be really beneficial for Kurt Suzuki if we take what he said about Romano and Pomeranz, like, hey, these guys in their career, we got to be careful with them, and I want to make sure that they last all season long. I get that. But now having Kirby Yates in, who hasn't pitched since spring training.
And he's old too.
He's going to be a fresh arm, though. He's going to be somebody that now you can mix and match with Romano at the end of a game. And he's going to be more fresh than Romano, so that you can maybe use him for high spots over the next few weeks once he gets up here to really help this bullpen make it to the end of the year. I said to a friend yesterday, Martin, he's an everydayer. I said to him yesterday, listen, you use everybody you can to get this team to the playoffs. If that's the potential, then use everybody you can. Wear them out. If we get to the playoffs, I don't care what happens. I just want to get to the playoffs, right? Like, if the Ducks are in the playoffs, the Angels need to be there. I'm tired of this narrative around this team not making the playoffs. Obviously, if they get there, I'm going to want them to win, but there is going to be some satisfaction, like, getting there. And I think if they have the potential to get there, they need to do everything they can to get there and use the guys that they've signed this year to get there. And so this is exciting to see. Kirby Yates potentially coming back, Ben Joyce potentially coming back. Man, it could be a really strong back of the bullpen for the Angels, but also it really lengthens the bullpen if all of them can be who their stats say that they are.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good potential. Mike, I think the biggest thing we've seen is the influence of the coaching staff over this team. We talked about it in the first segment where, they put up the 4 home runs, but they also didn't earn all their runs that one way. I think the pitching staff, on a good night, you see what Detmers looks like with no walks. I think that's a big influence of, what he's working through. He's not perfect yet. He looked perfect last night, but 2 starts ago, it wasn't so great.
Yeah.
And then before that, against the Mariners, it was great. So it's been back and forth with a guy like Detmers. But I got to say, when it comes to the biggest acquisitions this offseason, it comes down to the coaching staff, and it comes down to these guys maximizing the potential of the roster that they have. That's why I don't want to, boot scoot around using these guys.
Yeah.
I couldn't think of a good word there, but
boot scoot's good.
like use your guys.
Yeah.
You got Romano, you've got Pomeranz. They need work. Get them in there, maximize who you have, and try to do something this year. For goodness sake, try to be good this year.
Hey, we thank you for making Locked On Angels your first listen of the day. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And follow Locked On Angels to get all the latest episodes. And if you never miss an episode, man, you're perfect for the Everydayer Club. You're going to get Locked On Angels ad-free, members-only Discord access, so much more. Head to lockedonangels.supercast.com to join the club.
Be sure you give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Angels and at Super Halo Bros on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Mike, did you see my latest Detmers meme that I made?
Yes.
in
So
honor
good.
of his win last night. Yeah.
So good.
So shout out to at Debt Collector on Twitter. That's Debt, just DET for Detmers. What do we have on deck for Thursday's show?
Well, Jack Kohanowitz is on the mound, and with Jack Kohanowitz on the mound, there's some hope that maybe the Angels could get over 500 today. And with the talk of what they're going to do in the final game, is it going to be Aldeguerri? Is it going to be a bullpen game? A lot of questions about that. A great Kohanowitz start can really help bring some good satisfaction and some confidence, right, to this team. And then they can decide and have the freedom to decide what they want to do in the next game. So we're going to be watching Jack. We'll have all the takeaways for you tomorrow on Locked On Angels.
All right, looking forward to that, and we hope you'll come back and join us. Until then, my name is John, and that's my brother Mike.
And my name is Mike, and that's my brother John.
All right, all you sickos who love this Angels team and all the everydayers who love to watch and listen, we'll see you back here on Thursday. Lost the day of the week that it was.